Hi everybody, Dave here from Charest Studios, and today we're going to be looking at this new action cam from IZEEKER. It is their IA800 action cam, and this is the first action cam from IZEEKER. Now they did send this camera out to me in exchange for my review and demonstration of the product, so they did agree that I could give my own honest opinion in this review, and so that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to try to show you guys a number of different footage and go over the specs, and we'll do the unboxing, and I want to help you figure out if this camera would be good for you. So here it is, the IA800 action camera from IZEEKER, and I'm excited to unbox this with you guys. So there it is, that's all the stuff that it comes with. We're recording at 4K 30 frames per second. Color is on colorful. And we have electronic image stabilization on, super electronic image stabilization on, super EIS. And I'm just hand holding on a little tiny tripod, walking normally. Okay, and this is 1080p by 30 frames per second with super EIS on, super electronic image stabilization on, and the color profile is set to standard. So I'll do some walking. So this is 2.7K, 30 frames per second. Super electronic image stabilization is on, and this is handheld. Okay, here we're testing the GoPro Hero 7 Black against the IZEEKER IA800. Both cameras are set to 4K 30 frames per second. Both have their highest available image stabilization on. I have it on colorful mode for the IZEEKER IA800, and for the GoPro I have Pro Tune off. I have the exposure at minus half a stop on the i800 because it seemed to overexpose a little bit more than the GoPro, so I dropped the exposure down a bit. But this is the footage from each camera. Let's get a little close up here. And here it is, the IZEEKER IA800. It's waterproof up to 16 feet 5 meters, just as it is out of the case. We have your ports here for plugging in. No tripod mount here, but we do get this case as I mentioned, which I'm going to put it in there in a second and show you guys. Here's your battery compartment. Nicely waterproofed, as you can see. Nice firm. It feels very, very quality made, very solid. The buttons are much like a GoPro. You have to, press hard. Let me fire this up for you. It's a long press to turn on. And there's the front screen. The back screen. To turn on the front screen, you push the mode button, which is this button here. And so there's the front screen. Screen is very nice, actually. It's hard because, I'm pointing it at the lights here, so you can't really see that well. Let me go back to the rear screen. So it's a press and hold, and there's the rear screen, and you can see it's looking at the box there, which is pretty nice screen. So this IZEEKER IA800 has a really nice chip in this camera, the Umbrella H22S75 chip. It's a high-level action camera chip, and it can support up to 6K 30 frames per second and real 4K 60. So this has native 4K 60, 24 megapixel photo resolution, and it's got a nice solid build. It's a solid metal alloy for the frame of the camera, and all the internal components are sealed without needing any extra waterproofing or impact resistant cases. You can dive up to 16 feet just as the camera is without the waterproof case, and up to 40 meters in the waterproof case. You get two 1350 milliamp hour batteries. So the main screen on the back is for accessing the menu, and you can't really switch from the menu screen to the front screen. The front screen is just for setting up your shots and stuff. You can't really access the menu through there. Content can be wirelessly transferred from the camera to your smartphone with the app. So the camera does have many different settings and many different modes. It's really got a lot as far as you know, in the photo and video that you can, you know, set a lot of the settings manually, which is very nice. Also has full auto, so you can let the camera decide for you as well. Now what I wanted to show you guys was this case. So the case, the camera simply slides in the back here, and it's very snug. And now we have the little plate that slides in the back, and here's the little plate that slides in the back. So one thing I did notice that I had this gives me a little trouble opening this, like it's hard, and yeah, it clicks in there quite tightly. So that's a little bit, you know, a little bit of a frustration, but it may get better over time, you know, just getting worn in there. And I do have a screen protector on there, so that may make it a little bit even more snug. But the other thing that I wanted to mention was that I had trouble accessing the menu down the bottom here when this case is on. Now, of course, you can do it from button pushes to access all the features of the menu, but it's a little inconvenient, you know, so if you have this on, a lot of times what I've done is just leave it off, because the camera is in there pretty snugly, is leave it off so that I can access those buttons down there, or those selections down there, without any issue, because I wasn't able to access some of those down here while this was on. So something to keep in mind. I did want to show you guys, go through the all the accessories a little bit once more, because they really do give you a lot with this camera. So here is the waterproof case, which is good down to 40 meters. As I said, it's waterproof just as it is down to 16 feet or 5 meters. But this fits in there beautifully. Nicely waterproofed and protected. So we have a number of different mounts here, which I want to show you a little bit. The book does give you a guide for what everything is here. So that's your bike mount, and you could put this on like that, and then you'd be able to put this onto your bike like that. If you need an extension, they do give you extensions like this. That's a 360, but there's a little extension like this if you needed to get your thing up a little higher. You could use something like this and then mount your camera on here. So then you could mount this on here if you needed a little more extension, and then of course the bolt goes in there. So you have that. So the bike mount, you have a couple different extensions. You have these, which one of them is flat, so you could mount it on any surface, and then this would go in here, and then you could mount your camera on there like that. So yeah, so that would be to mount on any surface that you want to stick this onto. You put this, and then your camera could mount on that. You have the wrist, here's a wrist strap with the remote. And also, there's this one is like a helmet mount. It's got a little gentle curve, so you can mount that on your helmet. And then once again, you would snap this in. See if I can show you. So that snaps in like that. And then you'd be able to mount your camera on there once this was mounted. So really a lot of things. Here's a 360 mount. So this could get mounted on here, and then you're able to turn the camera 360 while it's mounted. And of course, the one that I use all the time for this one is you put this on here, and then that allows you to go to and then you put your camera in there, and then you can mount this onto any standard 1/4-20 tripod. So that's nice. This is a shorter extension here. It just brings it up. Okay, so that's a short extension that way. This one appears to be going at a right angle. So there's the short extension. So lots of nice features. So there's the guide for that. All the little accessories that come with it and what they do. I did find when I took all the previous clips in this video, in this review, that it seemed like the clips were a little bit overexposed to my taste. But I want to show you when I turned down the exposure compensation one step, I felt that it gave me a much nicer image quality in the video. So we'll take a look at those clips now with a couple of clips that I did at one step down. .6K, 30 frames per second. No image stabilization is available. I cut the exposure down to -1. As far as the negatives of this camera, the audio quality is very low, and I understand with these waterproofing these cameras without a waterproof case, they have to put some kind of membrane over the microphone, and that makes the audio very low. So I really wish the audio was better in this camera, because it would be an awesome, I think it could be an awesome vlogging camera as well. But without a good mic, that kind of cancels that out. Of course, you are able to, raise up the audio in post. I've mentioned about the case being difficult, to get on and off. I've gotten a little bit more used to that, but you still have the issue of accessing the menu functions down the bottom here when the case is on, because you have that big frame around the bottom of the camera. You can still access the menu, of course, through the button pushes, but when you have a touch screen and it's accessible, you don't really want to do that, right? That's more for the waterproof case. So that was a little gripe I had about this camera, but really quite minor in all. All in all, I think that wasn't that big of a deal. So one more thing I wanted to let you guys know about is there is a shutter lag. So for instance, when you take a photo, when you push the button to when the photo actually clicks, there's a delay there. So you can get some good photos out of this, but that may be a factor for some folks if you're going to do a lot of photography with it, especially any kind of action photography. It does have a burst mode, however, there is a delay from when you push the button to when it begins. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. I got the glass protectors that were for the Osmo action camera, and they fit this perfectly. So we may be able to get aftermarket cases that we like better, or yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure of that, but in any case, that was one of the issues. Everything else, I really like this camera. Like I said, the footage was good. And you saw that when we stepped down that exposure, I think it was even better. I love having those manual controls. So my final thoughts on this camera, guys, is I think for the right price point, this is a very good camera, a very good budget action cam with a lot of features and functions. Currently, I've seen it priced widely since it came out. Like it started around almost just under the $300 mark. and now with the proper coupon at the time of this recording, with a $70 coupon, making it about $100. So for $100, I think this is a very good action camera with all the functions and features it has. And you guys be the judge of the footage for that price, but I think it's very good for that price. I don't know how long that price will hold, but I would say anywhere this camera, you know, from 100 to 130 something, you know, I think this camera would be a good buy. Up higher where it was, I think it was a little too high. So I think they've come down to where it should be, and I hope they hold it there, because I think that's a good price for this camera. So even when I turned up the audio on high, it still wasn't really any much different. So, but you guys be the judge of the audio after I boosted it up in post. And if you're satisfied with that, then, you know, I think this camera does really good footage for the price point, and you have a lot of options and a lot of manual settings that you can do. So like I say, for the price point where it's currently at right now, I think this is a very good bargain, and I would recommend it if you're in it looking for an action camera in this price range. I think it'd be hard to beat this with the, you know, the 4K 60. Of course, we got the 6K 30 interpolated. I show you guys that so you can see what that's like. But I'm not really much for wanting the interpolated footage. I'd rather just take the 4K 30, 4K 60. I'm happy with that. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. I will have an affiliate link to this camera in the description, should you want to pick one up. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.